Okay, we're back again. What we're working on, and what I ended up doing offline so I could see it, was I gave him some teeth. As you can see, all I did was separate it with a knife. Okay, and I did a little bit more with the lips, made a little more of a ridge around there. And also what I did was I dug out a little bit of the chin line here and the neck area. So we're going to do the same thing over here. All you want to do is take your knife, and you just want to kind of scoop this out underneath his chin, and I use that slicing motion like I talked about before. So that's what you want to do. You want to kind of make that distinctive, as I did there for the neck area. And the same thing over here. We're just going to scoop this out, kind of put it underneath there, just like so, and then clean it up. Alright, so that's how I did that. And also what I did was I scooped it underneath here a little bit more with a knife, just scooping it and giving it a little bit of a chin area underneath here. Alright, now you can put 2 teeth in, you can put 4 in. I just happen to put the 2 front teeth and 2 side teeth in there. And then the bottom is just a little bit of a hole in there to give it some depth. The deeper you make it, the more depth, of course, you have on the piece. And what I also started to do, and what I'm doing very lightly, is taking the sprayer and just spraying it very lightly on the top of that hat, and I'm trimming that down, as you can see. See how I can cut that when it's wet? Just go from side to side and kind of work it down a little bit, okay? So, you know, once you get this area done and the teeth done and separate the teeth, you want to go back and you want to clean this all out and then start tapering. Now, I'm not going to go much thinner than that, just a little bit more. But you don't want to soak it to death, okay? Because I'm afraid if you do, you might end up checking it. Also, on the top of the hat, there's a circle that we're going to put here, like a little bit of an oversized circle. We're going to cut that out. And all that consists of is a little stop cut going around, just like so. You see how I'm rotating the piece instead of the knife? Sometimes that's a little easier to do, okay, than trying to take your hand all the way around it. And then you're just going to slowly cut a piece out to make it the top of that little, it has that little knob at the top where the tassel hangs on to. We're trying to put some detail in this little guy here. And something a little different with him smiling, you know, and some teeth. And you know, there's a variety of ways of doing it when you're doing caricatures. There's no right or wrong way of doing things. Okay. So that looks nice and clean. We're just gonna see how I'm using that slicing motion. Maybe just make it a tad wet right at the top, just a little bit of away, just one little squirt there. You can really cut that nicely, but your knife really needs to be sharp, folks. You know, don't do this if your knife is dull. You want to do this when your knife is nice and sharp. See, and I want that sticking out a little bit as well. Okay, so after we're done with that, we're going to let it dry just a tad, and I'm going to just bring this down just a little bit more to my liking here. And you want to be real careful. See how I'm using that slice? I'm not putting a lot of force on that. I'm trying not to anyway. Alright. We just want to thin this out a little bit more. Alright. And we're just going to follow that around one more time. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit of a mark there showing the difference on that. Again, I'm turning my carving to help me make that circle. And you just want to be real careful. See how we have that little knob starting to stick out a little bit? That works out pretty good. So that's what we're working on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a little thing here for the tassel to be hanging over. Alright? And we're going to still trim this a little smaller. It's kind of hard to get it exactly really thin, but you can make it, if you taper it a little bit more on the ends, you will be able to make it look like it's pretty flat. But I'm not going to take too many chances with that because you get the idea. I'm going to go a little bit further offline with that. Alright? The other thing I'm doing is I'm starting to take the back of his arms out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start trimming some of this stuff out. I see I have a little mark there. You see that little... That won't matter so much because we're going to end up painting it mostly black anyway. So we're just going to go up here and we're going to chop really a good amount of this out. Just like so. Alright. And I'm not putting the... I was wondering what I should do here. I think I'll put the diploma in this hand. So we're going to just follow this out. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it out a little ways. I'm not going to go right underneath. We can always go back and recut it. I'm going to do it at an angle away from that arm. And we're just going to chop this up. Alright. We're going to go in quite a ways. And same thing here. We're going to try to go up a ways here. When you have a robe on, you really don't see all this stuff at the front because it all goes together a little bit. So we're just going to keep chopping some of this out. We're going to keep these two lines here to show us some reference. Alright, I'm going to just thin him up a little bit. He's kind of wide. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to thin this up a little bit more. And then we'll put where his arms will go. Okay, see that? I like a little bit better. I just back this up a little bit so you can see it. Just like that. Now we're going to start proportioning this body a little bit more. But I also know this is way too wide down here, so we're just going to start chopping some of this off back here where the robe comes. We're going to just round this off. Before I get offline, I'll show you. I'm going to round about this much of it off. Alright, just like so. So from here to there, this is what we're going to be taking off. Alright, I'll probably have that all off by the time we come back for another segment. Okay, we'll be back in a little bit.